What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today it's going to be, kind of an exciting one. We've got the Winnipeg Jets versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Little playoff preview before the series starts here, and I'm going to give my 2 cents on what's going on, and just kind of do a little overview of both teams and how I think that this series might go. So, this is kind of like a 1 seed versus 8th seed kind of thing going on here with the Jets versus Vegas. And Vegas, don't make no mistake, very good team, been playing most of the year without Mark Stone. But I do think that this is a better matchup than the Edmonton Oilers would be for the Jets. I think that Edmonton has a really strong team, and I was very excited to see that Vegas won their game against Seattle, and that the Jets would be playing Vegas and not Edmonton in the first round. So, very happy to be playing Vegas. I think that the Jets match up a little bit better with them. I think that they have the edge in goaltending, obviously, with Connor Hellebuyck opposed to a guy like Laurent Brossoit. Brossoit has played very good this year. He's 7-0-3, but it does have to do a lot with Vegas just being a really good defensive team. And I really wonder what happens there because they have so many goalies. We might see Jonathan Quick at some point if Brossoit doesn't play very well. We might see Logan Thompson, who, started the season very well for Vegas, hop in there at some point. They have a lot of options, but, no one better than Connor Hellebuyck, obviously, and I think that he's good to steal a couple games if, maybe the Jets have an off night or something like that. He is willing to, step up and carry the team as he's done a lot of his career, so don't be shocked if Connor Hellebuyck is the X factor in this series. Vegas reminds me so much of, the St. Louis Blues back in like 2018, 2019, kind of in that area, where you're always like, how is this team that good, right? Like, they never really have any real stars. I mean, I know they have Jack Eichel, they have Alex Pietrangelo, but there's no real big name guy there, right? The secret sauce for Vegas is really just having depth everywhere. Their first line coming into the playoffs is going to look something like Barbashev, Eichel, and Marchessault. Second line is going to be Smith, Carlson, and Kessel. And Mark Stone is going to be back starting on the third line. I assume at some point he'll probably get elevated, but he will be playing with Chandler Stevenson and Amadio. And then the fourth line is going to be Howden, Waugh, and Kolesar. So first thing that stands out to me is there's a lot of depth on this team, and this is a team that likes to play a very, very fast game, a very good defensive game, and that's why they are so good, right? They just fit the system so well, and everybody buys in. Just like what Rick Bowness wanted this team to do at the beginning of the year, Jets were doing it. They looked very good. They took a little bit of a break from doing it, but the last 10 or so, I think that the Jets played some of the best hockey this season, and, that's just kind of how I see it. If you buy into the system, you're going to have a very good and successful team. If we move it over to the defense pairings, we got Alec Martinez with Alex Pietrangelo, Braden McNabb with Shea Theodore, and Nick Hague with Whitecloud. So Whitecloud also back in the lineup. He was hurt. Again, though, you've got Pietrangelo, Theodore, and Martinez. Those are pretty good defensemen, but then you look at McNabb, Hague, and Whitecloud, probably not like household names or anything. Still very good defensemen, but just very good, responsible defensemen. And I think that, again, they play into the system, they work well, they play hard, they really buy in, and that's what's going to make Vegas really hard. This is a team that wants to win, and if we see the Jets from, maybe a month ago where they just really didn't seem to care, then I think the Jets are going to have some big problems. But I think those days are behind us. We're going to talk about the Jets in just a second here, but I just wanted to outline, kind of how this Golden Knights team is constructed and how they've really always been constructed. Just a team that follows the game plan, plays hard. They are a very good team, obviously winning the West, and this is going to be a tough team for the Jets to beat. However, I do think that it is possible for the Jets to make this a series and even possibly win it, and I will be talking about that right now. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, what are you talking about, man? This Jets team, they're good, but that Vegas team is elite. I don't really see them winning. Well, I do think that it is possible for a couple of reasons. When this Jets team does play at their peak, like they have been playing the last, handful of games, 7 to 10 games, they are a force to be reckoned with. We've seen that. We've seen what they can do, beating up on Jersey, that real physical game against the Wild, and just so many more games, down the stretch there as they were going on to try to clinch that playoff spot. They obviously did with the game against the Wild. And it was a big statement game. Guys like Adam Lowry came to life in the last 10. Mark Scheifele seemed to have found his game in the last, 5 or so games there when he was playing on the wing with Pierre-Luc Dubois and Kyle Connor on the opposite wing. And Nick Ehlers obviously playing very well with Vlad Namestnikov. Blake Wheeler kind of just finding his game again, right? He looked fast. He looked really fast out there. There's still a player there in Blake Wheeler, but it just took Vlad Namestnikov and Blake Wheeler to unlock him. Not to mention the Jets may get Cole Perfetti back as well. And that third line, guys, that third line was probably the most impressive line of the whole last 5 games for sure. Nino Niederreiter, Adam Lowry, and Mason Appleton, those guys played fantastic. I was so happy with what those guys were doing out there. Real heavy playoff style hockey, and I think that line is going to be a little bit of a matchup nightmare for maybe a Chandler Stevenson line, maybe, you know, whoever they decide to put out there. I do think that they're going to have a real tough time with that line. They can play defense, they can play offense. They just go to the net, they find offense. Obviously, Nino Niederreiter, no stranger in pissing people off, right? He's a real agitator out there. Really love that pickup, by the way, and especially for the playoffs. I think that he could be an X factor in this series and maybe a sneaky playoff performer. But same with Adam Lowry. He always shows up in the playoffs. He showed up here at the end of the season, and I just can't wait to see what that line does. The fourth line does concern me a little bit with Barron, Stenlund, and Manalainen. You know, they could get picked on a little bit. I'm not a big believer in Saku Manalainen, but, you know, it is what it is. I don't think he's coming out anytime soon. He is a good penalty killer, and I get, you know, that's kind of the role he plays for this team. But I don't know. 5-on-5, not the greatest decision in my opinion. I really like Johnson Fialbi. I think that he really adds a lot to this team, and we saw that against the Colorado Avalanche when a lot of the Jets weren't playing. I thought he was one of the better guys out there. I think that he deserves maybe a spot over Saku. Call me crazy. I know I'm gonna get a lot of people disagreeing with that, but I do think that he would be a little bit more effective 5-on-5 and might add some depth scoring there with Morgan Barron. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on everything there. I really do like this Jets matchup. Why mess it up when you're winning, right? So maybe if things go wrong, maybe that'll change. But as for now, these are the lines that they were rolling with. These got changed on March 31st, and they have not changed since. And since then, the Jets have played some of their best hockey. So love it. Let's keep it the way it is until the wheels fall off, and we'll just see what happens. On defense, I really do like that the Jets kept it the same. They're not doing this, Morrissey Pionk kind of thing. They're keeping it the way it's been working. Dylan DeMello and Josh Morrissey will be on the first pairing. Neil Pionk and Brendan Dillon on the second pairing. Shout out to Neil Pionk, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned it in one of my videos or not, but he has been playing so well. Obviously really tough season for him for the majority of it, but he, the last 10, 15, 20 games, I thought that he started to kind of find his game, a little bit more confidence, and we saw it. I mean, he was scoring goals. He was, in guys' grills, kind of just being a pest again, and it was nice to see that confidence from Neil Pionk once again, and I hope that we find that, McDavid shut down Neil Pionk that we saw in the bubble playoffs. That would be a lot of fun if that was, able to be recreated, and it could go a long way to the Jets being, maybe a force here to beat Vegas. And then the bottom pairing, of course, it's going to be Dylan Samberg and Nate Schmidt, a pair that I think works pretty well together. Samberg, incredible rookie season. Nate Schmidt, he's starting to look fast. He was starting to do some stuff at the end of the year there. In the 2018 playoffs, Nate Schmidt was on the Vegas Golden Knights, so maybe we'll have a little bit of a revenge series kind of scenario for him. And it would be nice if he was able to step up and be a little bit more of a force, just like I, said about Neil Pionk. But those are the defense pairings. I think they're pretty comparable. If Josh Morrissey's playing at top notch and Neil Pionk is, playing the way he's been playing over the last 10 to 20 games, I think that they're pretty even, I'd say. Obviously, we'll have to see what happens, but I am very excited to see how these teams match up, and I think that this is going to be one of the better first-round series. It's going to be very even, and the Jets are going to have to be playing their best hockey to beat Vegas, but at the end of the day, I really do think it's possible. If that top six is playing well, responsible, not, turning over the puck left and right, if Mark Scheifele is able to find a little bit of that, 2018-19 year, that, 17-18 Scheifele that really dominated the playoffs, like prime Mark Scheifele, if he's able to find even half of that ability, he is going to be lighting up the Vegas Golden Knights, and he's going to be a big problem here in the series. But that is the thing that the Jets need to do. All those guys need to be playing how they can play. Kyle Connor needs to step up. He didn't really have that crazy of a year, I'm not gonna lie. He was pretty good in the first half, but the second half of the year, very underwhelming for him. He didn't hit the 40 goal mark. I know it's like whatever, he didn't score 40 goals, and goals aren't everything, obviously, but there was just a lot of games where he was very quiet, and I really hope that he does find his game heading into the playoffs here, finds that scoring touch, because the Jets are going to need it. Pierre-Luc Dubois, same thing. He's going to need to be that wrecking ball presence that we really know. We really haven't seen a playoff Pierre-Luc Dubois. We saw him in that bubble series where, he just really wasn't playing that well. He was on the fourth line for a lot of it. That was the year, obviously, of the Line A trade, and it was just a weird year for him. He wasn't comfortable. So we're going to see playoff PLD really for the first time since he was with Columbus, and he was pretty darn good with Columbus. So I can't wait to see what happens there. But Pierre-Luc Dubois, Mark Scheifele, those are guys that I'm looking at to be a real big force. Will they stay on the same line, or will they eventually move back to center both of them and center both lines? We'll have to see how the series, kind of plays out, see how the matchup runs with Vegas and what's working, what's not. But those are the two guys that I look at that just really need to be drivers and find that extra gear, because if they don't, I think the Jets could be in some trouble, and I think they could be getting overwhelmed. But at the end of the day, my thoughts on the Jets is they can beat the Vegas Golden Knights if they play the way that we know that they can play. Stick to the game plan, keep the structure, don't let them anything easy through the middle, don't let anything weird go on. Just go play your game, be patient, and you know what? Goals are going to come, right? Just throw it at the net, go to the net, score some grease, defend well. That's all that I have to say. But the Jets do have to be very disciplined against this Vegas team, because if they aren't, Vegas is going to roll all over them like they've been doing a lot of teams this season. So I'm going to give my predictions here. First of all, I'm going to give my safe prediction, what I do think is going to happen, my unbiased opinion. I think that Vegas wins this series by, a score of 4-2, so Vegas in 6. But if we're going to give my Jets fan opinion here, I think that the Jets can take the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't think it'll be easy, but I think the Jets can beat the Vegas Golden Knights in 7 games to book their ticket to the second round. A lot of you might disagree with me. I don't know who's watching. We'll have to sound off on the comments down below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about the series. But I do think that there is a world where the Jets can win the series, and I would love that. It'd be a lot of fun, knocking off Vegas. I'm not the biggest fan of Vegas. A lot of guys on that team that I'm not, super big fan of. So I would love to see the Winnipeg Jets beat the Vegas Golden Knights here in round 1. But yeah, guys, that's just my thoughts on the series here between the Winnipeg Jets and the Vegas Golden Knights. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. Do you think that the Jets are going to win? Do you think that Vegas is going to win? It's going to be a crazy series either way, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Going to have a lot of playoff content coming up here as the games go by, so I'd love, love you guys to be along with the ride if you're not already. So leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Go Jets, go! Bye-bye.